What's going on, guys? This is Highlighted Miners here. I'm getting a lot of questions as to what is the minimum requirements that I need to be able to crypto mine in 2022. Today, we're going to answer that question. So let's get into it. Alright, guys, so it's actually pretty simple as to what you're going to need to mine cryptocurrency in 2022. And we'll go over a few different options here for you. Long story short, you're going to need some sort of computer unit that has a graphics card in it that has preferably 4 gigs or more of RAM. Now, you can mine with graphics cards that have less than 4 gigs, and we can talk about that a little bit, but really a computer unit that has a graphics card with 4 gigs or more of RAM, and preferably a 10,000 series or 400 series AMD or newer. Now, if you have a gaming computer that fits that spec, then you can just use something like T-Rex Miner that we have here. It mines a ton of different coins, the most profitable. So if you're just doing this on one graphics card, you're probably looking for the most profitable would be mining Ethereum. The only other thing that you would need to mine Ethereum besides a 4 gig dedicated graphics card is an Ethereum wallet. Now, I'm going to link a video in the top right that explains how to use T-Rex Miner. Now, in here, you will see this address. Now, this address is my address that I mine my Ethereum to. Coinbase would be a great place to start if you just have one graphics card and you're looking to mine that on that one card. But let's say that you want something a little bit more robust. So let's say you want maybe to get a 6-card rig, an 8-card rig, meaning you would have 6 or 8 graphics cards mining at the same time. Well, I'm going to link another video in the top right corner that will go over what I believe is a great rig to build at the start of 2022. But let's talk a little bit about some of the things that we would want to look for before building that rig. So I think the most important is to understand the market as it sits. So we have actually seen a climb in Bitcoin and Ethereum. Bitcoin, I believe, dropped down to about 36,000, and it has climbed over the past couple of weeks. Ethereum is what most people will mine. And you can kind of see Ethereum went way up. We dropped really far down, and we started to come back up. So the most important thing is understanding what money can I put into my rig. Please understand that Ethereum will probably be going to Ethereum 2.0. The merge, not 2.0. The merge is going to happen, and Ethereum will no longer be able to be mined on graphics cards. When that happens, we are not really sure what the graphics card mining environment will look like. So please take that into consideration. The next thing I would say is do not spend any money on a mining rig that you cannot afford to lose. There is a possibility with the volatility of cryptocurrency that everything can go to zero at any time. Maybe not zero, but we can see huge crashes of close to 50+%. So ensure that anything that you're using on your mining rig, in terms of money, you are okay with losing in the short term. So this is important. The next best place to go is a place that's called What to Mine. This really helps you sort of build out your rig. You can type in here, let's say you want to build a 6 rig, 3070, you can hit calculate, and it'll sort of show you what wattage you would be using for just the cards, and what mega hash you can somewhat expect to see. Down here you'll see a daily profit, and then profits after paying electricity. So this is important to know because let's say your mining rig costs 5,000, you would be able to divide that by the 1405 and say I would have 355 days at the current market price, which is $3,029, to actually make back the money that I spent on my rig. Okay, very important. Now there's plenty of different ways to build a rig, but let me just go over some basics here, right? So you're going to need a motherboard, which is something like this. You're going to need a CPU, which goes in this slot here. You're going to need RAM. You're going to need a power supply, and you're going to need an SSD. Okay, so those are all the components to making a rig. Now I will go ahead and again put that video in the top right on a rig that I think is a great rig to build in 2022. But so something like this ASRock H510, a lot of crypto miners use it. This is an interesting board because, as you can tell, it has these PCIe lanes on the board itself, so no risers are needed. The next thing you would need is a CPU. This one is an F model, so it does not have onboard graphics. If that's important to you, find the one that is not an F model. You will pay a little bit more for it. You will need some RAM. You do not need, sorry about that. You do not need this specific RAM. Really, all you need is 8 gigs. This is the 16 gig. I would just find the one 8 gig. Speed doesn't really matter. Just make sure it's compatible with the board. What I traditionally like to do is go for just sort of a cheaper frame, especially when you're first getting started. I like this particular frame. Now this frame is designed to have the cards sitting way up here, so risers are required on this one. There's plenty of frames out there that don't require or that are specifically for the H510. Just sort of look through this and see one. When you see one that you like that's within your budget, just go ahead and grab it. Just make sure that you can use a riserless motherboard with it. Next thing you'll need is an SSD. Really, you only need a 60 gig. These Kingstons are just really cheap, so I normally go ahead and buy these 120 gigs. I haven't had any issues with them. So next thing I like to cover is some places that you can actually go to find graphics cards right now. It's very hard to find them. I highly recommend eBay. I know the used market scares some people, especially if it's your first card. But I really think that eBay has a lot of choices on there. Some of the cards that I would be looking for, if you're only going to use it for mining, I really like the RX 570 8 gig cards still. And the reason why I like these so much is the price. The price is just so good on these cards. So I have a few of these cards. Look at this, $300. $300. This gets 32 mega hash. So if we go 32, it pulls about 90 watts, depending on the overclock settings. 3290. Actually, let's go back to defaults because now it's sort of throwing everything off here. So we got 32, we got 90, $1.41. Look at this, guys. So at the current prices right now, if you bought this card for $290, $1.41, that's 205-day payback period. Great cards. Highly recommend them. They are the 8 gig variant, so if the merge gets pushed, so Ethereum doesn't go ahead with the merge, which has been historically what's been happening, these are still great cards. Some of the cards that I really like, the 6600 AMDs. And I know that there's a 600 XT model. I highly advise that you go to Crypto Red Fox's channel. He actually did an efficiency against the 6600 and the 6600 XT. Found that the 6600 was actually the more efficient card. Very interesting card. Great at actually dual mining some coins. If you're interested in that, he also has some videos on that. But these are another one of those cards. Now, some of the other places that I'll look at, sometimes you can go to Best Buy. You can go ahead and go to computer tablets. Let's see your computer components, video graphics cards. You can also do exclude out of stock items. This will sort of show you. Let's see what we got here. 6800 XT. Here you go. 6600. 479, guys. It's a great deal for that card. Might have to buy that when I get off. So this is another good place to look. They come in stock every now and then. The 6600 XTs seem to be the easier ones to get. Of course, Newegg will always have some here and there. I'm indifferent about Newegg. Zotac is another one that you can find cards on. If you go up to this graphics cards at 30s, actually you can just go on this front page. Sometimes it'll show some good cards that they have. So you see here, right? So we got some 3070s. These are LHRs. So that's not a horrible price. You got some 3080 Ti's. I would not buy the 3050s. You can check out Jump Change's video on the 3050s. Got some 3090s. That's still crazy overpriced, but you can find some in here, right? You got the 3060s for 600. These are all in stock. Some people don't like Zotac. I have had some thermal issues with Zotac, but you can just replace the pads, and they seem to work just fine for me. But I know some people don't like them. These are just some places that you can find cards at. But guys, really, that's all. Once you go ahead and build out the motherboard with the CPU, the RAM, find a case that works for you. There's a lot of videos out there that you can just make your own custom case. Just make sure that metal's not touching. Let me show you this. So you see these are standoffs. This makes it so that the motherboard sits off of this metal. That just helps it so that the motherboard doesn't short out. So if you're gonna build your own, make sure you watch a video on somebody who actually knows what they're doing. You have your SSD. I have a video. I'll link it up in the top right corner if you want to use something like Hive OS instead. I have a complete guide on how to set up Hive OS from start to finish. I have my test rig on here, right? This is just a Zotac 3070. You see it gets about 60 megahash per second. I do a lot of testing on this rig. So this is another way to do it. Again, this is free. I prefer Hive OS over Windows, but if you have a gaming computer and that's just easier for you to, because you already have Windows on it, that's perfect. Guys, if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments below. Make sure to smash that like button because you know how much the YouTube algorithm likes it. And please don't forget to subscribe for more content. The channel is going to be bringing out a ton of content. I'm going to start bringing out some content as to how to run crypto mining as a business. How do I track stuff for tax purposes? So there's a lot of great stuff coming, guys. And we'll see you next time.